Everybody, it's Ian Beamer, Guaranteed Rates. Happy October. Wanted to put together this October 2023 market update for the world of real estate and home financing. It is October. Cubs yet again did not make the playoffs, which is heartbreaking. I know you're all broken up about that as much as I am. So I share your pain there. We did recently get CPI numbers. So the Consumer Price Index numbers did come out for September at 3.7%, which is the same index or the same value we had for August. I'm sorry. So 3.7% remains at 3.7%. Core CPI, which is just the inflation numbers minus food and energy, remain at 4.1%. So inflation is still a little bit higher than where the Fed would like it to be. I would think a rate hike at the November meeting is still on the table, so we'll see what happens and pay attention to headlines leading up to that meeting. In other news, we did get the jobs numbers recently. Jobs numbers blew away expectations. Over 330,000 new jobs created, which is, like I said, almost double what most economists were expecting. Still, unemployment levels remain at 3.8%. So it kind of sounds strange. The jobs numbers would have been so far ahead of expectations, although unemployment remains at 3.8%. So if you dive into those numbers a little bit further and look at what else is going on in the world, and I don't want to get into the politics of this, but border crossings, immigration to the United States is going through the roof. It is rampant. We are getting over 250, 300,000 border crossings per month. So if you think about the 330,000 new jobs created, which is great for the American workforce, but we are adding to that American workforce. All these people that are crossing, they're going to need a place to live. They're going to need jobs. Obviously, they're not going to get them immediately, but they may be able to find some jobs, some cash jobs, push people out of the non-skilled labor force. So we'll see what happens there. We'll pay attention to that. I would think that will likely push unemployment rates upwards and drive the demand for housing, for likely rentals, because it's going to be hard to finance if you don't have credit history, if you don't have the employment history. So they'll probably push up demand for rentals. That rental demand will push rental prices higher, which should push other possible renters out of the rental market and possibly into home purchasing, even with our crazy current interest rates, which we'll get to in a second. But I did want to go ahead and look at appreciation. At least in our local market, appreciation is still healthy. It is not, like I said last month, it is not anywhere close to the 2020, 2021 levels where we saw 20 to 25% appreciation. We're more like 3 to 4% appreciation, generally speaking, nationwide. There's some markets that are above that. There are some markets that are below that. There are some markets that are far below that. Very select few. There's obviously going to be outliers, but 3 to 4% is about ballpark what we're looking at. I think the Chicagoland market, we're looking at about 3.3% generally, but this Chicagoland market is a big market. So talk to a trusted agent, real estate agent, and they would be able to give you more accurate numbers for your specific situation. So just scrolling ahead here, we also saw, obviously, demand is holding steady and we're seeing appreciation. But who's selling? Who can possibly be selling? Who's willing to part with we know people are locked into their homes interest rate wise if you've got a rate in the 2s and 3s. But what do those numbers look like? Well, we actually have those numbers. About 38% of Americans actually own their homes free and clear, which contrary to my advice, if you go back and look at my market updates, I think it was October or November of 2020, 2020, I believe, or 2021. 2021, I was advising those of you that had the equity, those of you that may have owned your house free and clear, to take your mortgage out back when rates were still in the twos. Take as much cash out as you can and invest that money. That would be the cheapest money likely we would ever see in our lifetimes. Any borrowing money for 30 years under 3%, seemed like a really good idea. Some of you took me up on that. Some of you did not, and that's okay. But about 38% of you own your homes free and clear. Additionally, another 30% have interest rates under 3%. Over 70% of Americans have interest rates. Those that have mortgages have interest rates under 4%. So I can't see those people willing to part with those rates in this environment. We're currently sitting at rates around mid sevens. So rates have kind of bounced around a little bit. We're starting to calm down slightly. We were creeping up towards the 8% mark. But right now we're sitting mid sevens. So those of you that are selling are likely those of you that would not be impacted by mortgage rates. Those of you that can purchase homes free and clear, those of you that have cash, or those of you that have interest rates above, say, 5 or 6%. But those of you that have interest rates above 5 or 6% likely purchased in the last couple of years. So typically, if you purchase a home, you're going to hold on to that for probably about 4 or 5 years at least. So those that have purchased in the last couple of years are likely not selling, but those that own their homes free and clear, they may be selling just because they can buy their next home free and clear as well. So with that cash equity. So those of you that are in the market, a lot of you are first-time home buyers. I did want to talk to you about a brand new program that we have at Guaranteed Rate. There are about 10 select markets, 10 select metropolitan areas throughout the country. The Chicagoland area is one of them. It includes southeast Wisconsin, northwest Indiana, obviously northeastern Illinois. But if you're a first-time home buyer and you make under 140% of the area median income, which in our market in Chicagoland is roughly about $152,000. If you make under that annual amount and you qualify for a mortgage as a first-time home buyer, we can be extremely aggressive on that interest rate. We partnered up with Freddie Mac. We've got a program called Borrow Smart right now, which gives buyers $3,000 flat towards closing costs, or you can use this money to buy down that interest rate. I recently locked in a client a couple days ago, under 7% with lower closing costs than he otherwise would have gotten on this very program. So it's extremely aggressive. It is a great program. If you're a first-time home buyer, you really need to reach out. We need to have a discussion. I don't know how long this program will be available, but it is a great program to help out those of you just entering the market as a first-time buyer. There was a recent study by Redfin that said, a recent poll that said 1 out of 5, 20% of millennials don't think that they'll ever own a home. And that is heartbreaking to me. That is really hard to read, hard to hear. And anything we can do to help people get into their first home, doesn't have to be a mansion, but just get into home ownership as soon as you can. And it is truly life-changing as far as building wealth and establishing yourself and establishing not only credit, but home ownership. Your home is likely the largest asset most of us will ever own or have. So anything we can do to help that along, I am all for. Please reach out. I'd be happy to have a conversation. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Happy October. Thank you for checking out this video, and take care.